The night is quiet, but the drama, oh darling, it's never been louder. You may have forgotten all about your favorite nighttime soaps, but Miss Kane, she never did. She's been watching all the affairs, the betrayals, and the big hair, and now she's here to tell you everything you missed, or perhaps just forgot. This is Drama After Dark. Slip into something comfortable, and let's catch you up.
Don't just watch the scandal, darling. Subscribe and join the drama every Friday.
All right, loves, I'm Miss Kane. And yes, I did watch these nighttime soaps as a kid. Back then, I didn't fully understand what I was seeing, but oh, I knew it was juicy. Now I'm all grown up and watching with fresh eyes, a sharper tongue, and a whole lot more perspective. And let me tell you, the drama hits different when you actually get the schemes, the shade, and the scandal. That's why I started Drama After Dark, to relive the chaos, call out the mess, and give these iconic shows the commentary they deserve. So go ahead and pour a drink, get comfortable, and let's get into it, shall we? Well, butter my biscuits. We slip into Southfork with Bobby flat on his belly, moaning like a hound dog, while Pam works the knots out of his back. Ranch life is chewing him up something fierce, and he swears 14 hours out here makes office work look like a right vacation. Pam reminds him, he's the one who signed out to play cowboy, ain't he? Bobby grins that it won't last. Daddy's back on his feet, and he's ready to carve his own path, just like her. Pam melts, because, bless her heart, nothing feels better than Bobby actually getting it. She teases that he can't possibly be as bullheaded as the rest of that Ewing clan. Bobby shoots back that stubborn runs in his blood, but liking her work and living with it are two different things. Pam just purrs that she'll make sure it never feels like a burden, and judging by that smile, she's got more than back rubs in mind, doesn't she? Over at Aunt Maggie's, she's heading out the door when a stranger wanders up asking for Pam. Maggie sizes him up quick, cracks that he's not here to sell encyclopedias, is he? He says no, this is personal. Maggie doesn't miss a beat. Pam don't live here no more, she's a Ewing now, and personal calls are off the table. The stranger nods polite enough, but you can feel it. He didn't come all this way just to walk off that easy, did he? Lord, at the Ewing breakfast table, it's a full house, coffee poured, plates clinking, and Jock grumbling that his salt-free food tastes like library paste. Miss Ellie reminds him the doctor ordered it, but Jock snaps, the doctor doesn't have to eat it. JR chimes in about wanting his daddy strong again, but Jock fires back, he'll need strength just to keep up with JR's shenanigans. And he means the construction deal Bobby's tangled in. Ellie tries to hush him, but Jock won't. Bobby steps up, saying the project was his idea, with Sue Ellen backing him with the charity angle. Even Lucy pipes up, asking if she can visit the school for wayward boys. That earns her a sharp look from Miss Ellie, while Pam sweetly adds that the design is marvelous. JR can't help himself, spinning it into tax breaks and profits. Bless his heart. Jock waves them off, says Bobby's ranching career is already short and sweet. Bobby bristles, standing firm. He's not flighty. He's carving his own path, just like JR or his daddy. But JR won't stay quiet long, already rattling off names of contractors like it's his show to run. The table may be set for breakfast, but what's really being served is doubt and dominance, I tell you. Well, look who it is. Digger comes strutting down the street, bless his heart, with that paycheck practically burning a hole in his pocket, already carrying on about how best to spend it. Can you believe it? Then there's Harvey, waving him over with a bottle. But Digger just laughs it off, says after working in that Lubbock heat, he deserves something a sight stronger than kerosene, promises a real drink on him, he does. And off they go, the pair of them, never noticing the stranger from Aunt Maggie's, now sitting across the street in his car, watching, waiting, and clearly not done circling Pam's world, the sneaky devil. Oh, out on that land, Bobby's in full salesman mode, bless his heart, pitching his big development plans. 10 major buildings, dorms positioned just right to dodge the Texas sun. He's got every detail laid out, the charmer. The Reverend reminds him other bids are on the table, and that this Ewing land donation came with no strings attached, mind you. Bobby nods, smooth as ever, insisting he wouldn't want it any other way, heavens no. One of the committee ladies points out it's his first project, the audacity, but Bobby brags he's brought in the best young architect in Dallas, the one behind the Washburn Towers. She isn't impressed just yet, wonders why the designs don't have bars on the windows. Before Bobby can get into it, the Reverend cuts in, needling that neither Bobby nor Pan have been seen in church lately. Bobby doesn't miss a beat, steering them straight toward where he plans to build the chapel. Can you believe it? Well, isn't that just like Digger, holding court, carrying on about his wildcatting days, bragging he could sniff out oil better than any geologist alive? Broke as a joke though, and the bartender won't float him another round. The cheek of it! That's when the stranger slides in, buying a drink for Digger and a double bourbon for himself. He eases into conversation, saying he once knew a beautiful girl whose father was a top wildcatter. Digger's face shifts, says he had a girl once too, but she's gone. The stranger pushes. Maybe it's the same girl. Digger slurs that his daughter is lost to him, swallowed up by her new life as a Ewing. Can you believe it? Pamela's busy, swept up in Dallas society and her job at the store. No time for her daddy anymore. The stranger leans in, clocking every word, while Digger keeps talking, grateful for the company and the drink, never realizing just how personal this stranger's interest really is. So, Pam comes home, doesn't she, and finds Bobby cooling off in the pool. They trade smiles and a bit of small talk about their days, you know. Bobby's absolutely buzzing. The committee loved his project, can you believe it? But he grumbles Sue Ellen didn't mention other firms were bidden. Pam notes Jock already made a fuss at breakfast, but Bobby just brushes it off, saying the committee seemed more interested in church attendance than dorm space. Honestly. Pam teases if he has a plan, and Bobby hands it up. He'll put on his most pious face, but she'll have to cancel her wild parties. Pam plays along, laughing that it'll be tough, since she looks forward to them. Bobby leans in, grinning, and the flirtation says it all, doesn't it? Contract or no contract, these two still know how to keep it sweet. All right, darling. This stranger, bless his heart, helps our Digger stumble right up to his door, steadying him like they're old mates. Digger, the poor thing, insists he's fine, even though he can barely stand up straight. The man soothes him, says, "I've got it, love," easing him along till they're inside. Now, before he heads off, he just casually mentions he'll pop by his motel for a nightcap, flashing that bourbon like it's a pot of gold. Digger, already bleary-eyed, warns him it's unhealthy to drink alone, bless him. The stranger just smiles, because the hook's already set. This ain't about the drink, is it? It's about keeping himself real close to the Barnes family drama. Oh, listen to this. At the store, that cheeky sales girl calls Pam over, saying our Liz needs her to dash off and fetch some sketches at the mart. Pam, bless her heart, grabs her purse, flashes a smile, and heads for the door. But hold on. Here comes the stranger, bold as brass, asking the salesgirl if Pamela Ewing is about. Told she's just nipped out. He hollers, "Pamela!" Well, Pam turns around, proper puzzled, and he has the nerve to ask if she remembers him. She doesn't, of course. Then he drops this bombshell, claims he's her husband. Pam just stares, gobsmacked, then twigs it's Ed Haynes, that boy she married when she was just a teen. He pushes it, waving a license from Juarez like it's the crown jewels, saying the war and years in some prison camp kept him away. Pam tells him straight. It was annulled. She wrote to explain, and she's Mrs. Ewing now, thank you very much. But Ed won't have it, insisting he's still head over heels. Pam stands her ground, refusing him point blank, but he won't let it go entirely, leaving her shaking to her core, and the name of his dodgy motel just hanging there. Right, still at the store, and wouldn't you know it, Pam's hands are trembling something awful as she reaches for the phone. Dials Southfork first, she does. Miss Ellie answers, bless her heart, warm as ever. Pam asks if Bobby's about. Miss Ellie says no, darling. He's at some meeting or other on the building site. Pam says it should be over. Tried the office, but no such luck there either. Miss Ellie hears the edge in her voice, sharp as a tack, and gently asks if something's amiss. Pam brushes it off, says, "Oh, no, it's just work." She'll wait till tonight. They hang up. Pam exhales, then dials again, this time Cliff. her voice low, urgent. She needs to see him. The call ends, but the tension stays. Pan is rattled, caught between her old life and her new one, and she's reaching for anyone who might steady her. Can you believe it? Well, at Cliff's campaign headquarters, they're hoisting up his new sign, bless his heart, while he's outside playing the big shot. And here comes Pan, still shaken, poor thing. Cliff teases her with his brotherly jabs, barely paying attention, until she brings up that long-ago trip to El Paso. She reminds him, cheerleaders at the Sun Bowl, Digger tagging along as chaperone, and how she crossed into Juarez where she met Ed Haynes. Cliff cracks wise, saying she'd barely been allowed to cross the street before then. But Pan admits it felt romantic at the time, with Ed heading overseas. Cliff smirks, says she never liked long engagements, did she? Pam snaps back that Digger dragged her home and Maggie handled the annulment. Cliff shrugs, saying if she'd done the same with Bobby, she'd be free and clear. Pan shuts that down quick, saying this isn't funny. Ed claims he never got the annulment papers. Cliff waves it off, says there'll be a copy on file at the courthouse. But Pan insists she needs proof tonight. Cliff realizes Bobby doesn't know yet, and Pan nods. So, Cliff shifts gears, tells her to follow him. They'll head to Aunt Maggie's. Pan rolls her eyes at his delay, but goes, desperate for answers. Well, I never. Over at Ewing Oil, this Ed Haynes fella strolls in, bold as brass, asking for Mr. Ewing himself. J.R., bless his heart, barely looks up, all bored and bothered, until he hears it's about Mrs. Ewing. He leans back, smirking like the cat that got the cream. Sue Ellen doesn't have a past worth mentioning, according to him. But then, the man corrects him. Not Sue Ellen, darling. Pamela. Well, that gets JR's attention, doesn't it? Ed Haynes lays it all out. Says Pam married him in Juarez. Flashes a license he swears is legal as can be. JR eyes it cool. Says the lawyers will check it out. But Ed swears there was no annulment, no divorce, nothing. JR finally asks what he wants. And Ed says Pamela. JR chuckles. Wrong Ewing, pal. She's Bobby's wife. Still, JR smooths it over, telling him the Ewings never turn their backs on a veteran. But make no mistake, behind that smile, JR already sees the trouble this little revelation can stir. Oh, this is gonna be good. Oh, at Aunt Maggie's, the whole lot of them is tearing the place apart, hunting for those annulment papers. Maggie, bless her heart, swears they're in the box. Cliff just shrugs, says it wouldn't have mattered anyway. And Pam, well, she's on pins. Then Digger pipes up, says he could have told them all along. The papers aren't there. Maggie snaps, says, well, why didn't she say so then? Digger puffs himself up, moaning that nobody takes him seriously, treating him like a proper fool. Pam leans in, begging him to stop, saying this is too important. Her whole marriage is on the line. Finally, Digger admits the papers are upstairs. So up they go. He starts pouring through keepsakes, pulling out baby pictures like it's show and tell, while Pam and Cliff are near boiling over. Every paper but the one that matters. Pam's voice cracks, says, what on earth is she gonna tell Bobby? Cliff says, just wait a day. But Pam shakes her head, says she can't. Digger insists she just tell Bobby her daddy's got the papers, because they're here somewhere. And that's the problem in it. With Digger, somewhere might as well be nowhere at all. Well now, out on the Southfork patio, you see the tables all set, but not a soul has touched a bite. Jock's grumbling about Pam working, and Bobby, bless his heart, tells him to give her time. Sue Ellen, she just had to mention the Reverend liked Bobby's building plans, but was worried about Pam's background. And Lucy, oh, she shoots back, accusing Sue Ellen of stirring up trouble. Bobby, ever the charmer, keeps it light, saying he quoted scripture and won the Reverend over. JR, that sly dog, chuckles that Bobby's sounding like a true Ewing. Then Pam drives in, and Bobby rushes to meet her. She says she's fine, but JR can't resist, can he? He announces Ed Haynes came to his office, a veteran fresh out of a prison camp, who claims Pam is his wife. Pam, she stiffens right up, insists it was annulled, and that Ed's just after money. JR, with that grin of his, says Ed never asked for a cent, and he's already checked the story. It's true, darling. Bobby steps in, furious, saying it's none of JR's business. But JR leans back, talking about the family name, the big church project, and then he drops the final sting. Ed Haynes wants his wife back. Well, the table falls silent. Scandal now the first course of the night. In their room, Bobby's pacing, hot with anger, while Pam tries to thank him for shutting JR down. He snaps. That's what a husband does. Though, if this were the old days, he'd be calling out Ed Haynes with pistols at dawn. Can you believe it? Then he turns on her. Why didn't she tell him? Pam rushes to explain. It wasn't a real marriage, just a teenage mistake. She swears she never even shared a bed with Ed. That digger dragged her out 10 seconds after she said I do. Bobby isn't buying the soft sell. He wants those annulment papers. Pam admits Digger had them, but they're missing, and that's why she was late. Bobby's face darkens. No proof means big trouble. Howe insists the record office will have a copy. She and Cliff plan to go tomorrow. Bobby cuts her off, voice low and firm. No, the three of them are going together in the morning. Pam tries to brush it off, but Bobby won't budge. If there's no proof, then maybe they aren't married at all, and that's one thought Bobby isn't willing to entertain.
The drama sparkles best when you're part of it. Subscribe and stay close, like a whispered secret. Leave a comment, tell us what has you gasping, because every scandal deserves an audience.
Outside the records office, Bobby's still pacing, fuming something awful that Cliff isn't there. Pam, bless her heart, keeps her cool, swears he'll show, and points out JR probably already has the family lawyers circling like vultures. Cliff finally strolls up, late as ever and full of wisecracks, and the three of them head inside. The clerk barely glances at the files before saying, "There's no annulment on record, can you believe it?" Bobby leans in with his checkbook charm, but the man calls it bribery. The nerve! And Cliff has to yank him back before he lands in handcuffs. Pam looks between them, desperate, asking what she's supposed to do. Cliff lays it out. Annulments come in 4s, you see. One for Ed, one for Digger, one in the records, and one with Digger's lawyer. Problem is, that lawyer's long gone, and his files ended up with a secretary in Fort Worth. Cliff says he'll chase that lead. Pam presses for her part, and Cliff tells her to get back to work before she loses her job, because at this rate, she'll need at least one husband. Bobby bristles. Pam winces. They walked in hoping for answers and left with nothing but another dead end. Well, Bobby storms right into the Sagebrush Motel. Fists are flying and fury burning. Corners the man who's been turning his life upside down. Ed tries to say he only wanted Pam, not trouble. But Bobby's not buying that sob story, is he? He cuts right to the chase. How much will it take to make Ed leave? Ed spits back that love ain't for sale, that a wife isn't a car or a watch, bless his heart. Bobby snaps a number anyway, 10 grand, and Ed recoils, disgusted. Bobby doesn't dance. He warns Ed to get out of Dallas, or he'll make sure he's out for good. Ed only smiles sour, daring Bobby to hit him, waving the idea of headlines like it's protection. The whole thing smells like a standoff. One man furious and desperate, the other dangerous and unbowed, and neither one's walking away clean tonight, are they? Well, Bobby just peels out of the motel lot, doesn't he? And before you can blink, another car slides right in. Out steps Harry, bless his heart, all nerves, pressing Ed about what just went down. Spitting that this was supposed to be a quick hustle, a couple hundred from Pam, not stirring up the Ewings. Ed waves him off, smooth as you like, saying it's all under control. Harry's not so sure, warning those Ewings come loaded with lawyers and detectives. You know. Ed just shrugs, says that Fort Worth file, it's sitting at the bottom of White Rock Lake. Harry's ready to walk, but Ed reels him right back in. He's found himself a family feud, brothers at odds, and if he plays it right, he can walk away with 100 grand, 10% for Harry. Harry grumbles that won't last him long, but Ed cuts sharp, reminding him it's enough to keep those boys from Atlantic City from smashing his knees. Harry goes quiet, knowing he's in too deep, while Ed leans back, certain he's finally holding the winning hand. Oh, honey, listen to this mess. Bobby's in the study, glued to that phone, chasing down answers. Bless his heart. He's polite to Keller, but you can just hear the frustration bubbling up. Slams the phone down, and who should float him but Sue Ellen, sweet as pie, magging him about missing dinner. He brushes her off, but she just keeps on, saying it must have been embarrassing, hinting that maybe family dinners are just too much for poor Pam. Well, Bobby snaps, says he ain't got time for this tonight, but Sue Ellen, slick as ever, slides right into concerning about his project. Before he can even get a word in, JR saunters in, smooth as silk, twisting the screws tighter. Warns him that if this school deal falls apart, Daddy's gonna be livid. All that hype wasted on Bobby. Bobby bristles, throws out that if they expect him to hand Pam over to Ed Haynes just to keep the project afloat, they can just forget about it. JR doesn't even blink, says Bobby already knows his answer. Then Sue Ellen, she delivers the dagger, purring that Reverend Thornwood won't deal with the husband of a supposed bigamist. If Bobby can't manage his family, how on earth could he possibly manage a business? The study just turns ice cold, Bobby boxed in by his brother's smirk and Sue Ellen's venomous smile. Oh, honey. Cliff waltzes into Southfork, and Jock nearly blows a gasket, barking that Barnes has no right in his house. Miss Ellie, bless her heart, tries to smooth it over, but Cliff ain't backing down. He's there for Pam. Bobby steps in, promising to fetch her before things get too ugly, you know? And child Sue Ellen is already downstairs, sliding in with that sly smile. She purrs that Cliff pops up at the oddest times, and he fires back with a defective toaster joke. She laughs, saying he looks far from defective, and Cliff grins, calling himself mint condition. Lucy chimes in too, eyeing him like fresh candy, saying Pam's brother isn't bad at all. Honey, Cliff's got a fan club before Pam even hits the room. But when she does, the mood shifts, doesn't it? Pam asks what he found in Fort Worth, and Cliff's charm just drops. Nothing, no annulment in the files. Pam's face falls, Bobby tenses, and Cliff lays it out. Only option left is an attorney. Cam and Bobby, they're huddling with Cliff and Digger, trying to claw their way out of this mess. Digger's clutching his coffee like it's proof he's sober, swearing he filed them annulment papers. Cliff cuts in, sharp as ever, says there ain't no papers, and Pam could be staring down a bigamy charge. Bobby stays cool as you like, asks what the next move is. Cliff says it depends on just how ugly Ed Haynes wants to get. Bobby swears it's all about the money, admits he offered 10 grand. Digger explodes. Only 10,000 to keep Pam out of jail? Cliff waves it off, says no jail time, just scandal and maybe a trial. Bobby's ready to up the offer. Pam protests, but he's firm. Ed doesn't want her back, just the cash. He's checked. Ed's been out of the hospital for years, so this claim is cooked. Cliff agrees that helps in court, but won't stop the stink. Bobby vows he'll pay whatever it takes to shield Pam. Digger rises, chest out, saying he'll handle Haynes himself. Bobby tries to stop him, but Digger won't back down. Says he may be a drunk, but he won't let his daughter carry the weight of his mistakes. Pam thanks him softly, knowing it won't work, but the men are already moving. Cliff sighs, then agrees to drive Digger to Ed. And, well darlin', when Digger decides to play hero, the night's only getting messier. Pam, bless her heart, she slips away to the phone, her voice soft as silk in it, when the operator connects her, and when Ed picks up, she barely breathes. It's Pamela, she says, like she's testing the weight of her own name. Can you believe it? But while Pam's treading careful, Digger storming up his own plan, the silly man, swears this is his battle, he does, and when Cliff tries to tag along, Digger swats him back effectively, says this is father versus fraud. At the motel, Digger squares off with Ed, laying it bare, the drama of it all. Pam was just a child, and Ed had no business marrying her then, or stirring up trouble now. Ed sneers, calls him a drunk, and Digger snaps he's not. That's when Cliff leans in with the catch. If Ed's never seen him drunk, how would he know? That slip wasn't just a mistake, it was the mask sliding right off. Ed's been lurking closer than he ever admitted, and now the whole game is showing its cracks, I tell you. All right now, listen to this. At Ewing Oil, Bobby's putting on his best salesman act, laying out the school plans for Reverend Thornwood. But honey, that Reverend cuts him off, cold as ice, saying they're only there out of courtesy, and one of them church ladies, bless her heart, twists the knife, reminding Bobby they owe even that to Sue Ellen. Then comes the real dagger. They can't be tied to the scandal swirling around his wife. Bobby, he bristles, snaps back that this project is about solid plans and a good architect, not what Pam did or didn't do. And if they're going to make it about that, they can just take them plans and get on out of here. Right then, the door flies open. Digger barges past the secretary with Cliff right behind him. Bobby waves them on through, and Digger drops the bomb. Pan's annulment papers weren't lost. They were stolen. One night, drunk as a skunk and careless, he'd shown Ed that cigar box full of keepsakes, and Ed slipped them papers right out. Bobby, he locks eyes on him. If Digger had a copy, then there's still one on file somewhere. Cliff backs him up, swearing Digger's telling the truth. Bobby tells them to hold steady while he sorts the Reverend, then marches Digger straight into JR's office, telling him to make himself comfortable, because JR won't be back all day. And baby, parking Digger in JR's chair is like lighting a match in a fireworks stand, I tell you. Right then, Pam meets Ed in the park, shadows stretching long, her tone cool but steady. In it, he's surprised she came alone, says he figured Bobby or the whole Ewing posse would be with her. She shakes her head, says that's exactly why she came, just her, see? Pam lays it out, tells him he stirred up nothing but trouble with them Ewings. The lawyers, the lispers. Ed twists it, acting like it means she still cares. She doesn't flinch, just says the family had their big meeting, and after the way he showed up, she's got no one left to lean on. That's when Ed perks up, asks if she's leaving Bobby. Pam lets it land like a hammer. Leaving? They kicked me out, love. He pushes about money, some payoff. She says not a dime, just her job, and she doesn't care. Another day on that ranch would have driven her right out of her mind. Then she plays it smooth, tells him she'll come to him tonight, just get her out of Dallas. Ed beams, swearing he'll be waiting at the motel, thinking he's won. What he doesn't know, Pam's not bending, she's baiting, the silly sod. Well, listen to this. Bobby and Cliff storm back into the records office, looking like they're fresh out of patience, bless their hearts. Harry, he just shrugs and lies through his teeth. But Cliff ain't buying it, not for a minute. Threatens court orders and says he'll turn the place upside down. Can you believe it? Now, Bobby, he doesn't bother with the threats. Just slides right into that kind and menace routine, asking what it'll take to settle this peacefully. Harry, he stammers, says he's scared, and Bobby leans in all cold, reminding him a man left alone out in that wide-open dust might never be heard from again. Suddenly, the bravado cracks, and Harry admits he made a copy of the annulment for protection. Bingo! Cliff and Bobby, they trade that look, a lead. Finally, and the night just turned from a dead end to moving. Oh, the drama! So, Bobby and Cliff, they get to the motel, right? But oh, the room stripped bare, honey. Suitcase vanished, drawers flung open, like someone just had to bolt out of there. Cliff, he just shakes his head, says the pigeon's flown, hasn't he? And the clerk, bless his heart, chimes in, swearing Ed packed up just an hour ago, like the devil himself was chasing him. Back at Southfork, Bobby lays it all out for the family, bless him. Explains he marched over with a copy of the annulment papers, ready to shove 'em right under Ed's nose. But the man was gone, wasn't he? Sue Ellen, well, she can't help herself, hinting maybe someone tipped him off. Pan just brushes it off, saying it's over now. But Sue Ellen, she twists the knife, letting slip Reverend Thornwood already called. Bobby's got the contract. She bats her lashes, claiming it's all for the family, isn't it? Jock tells Bobby this is his shot to prove himself. And Miss Ellie, she soothes Pan, grateful her ordeal's behind her. Lucy pipes up that she'd never get into that kind of trouble. And Ellie sighs. Lucy will always find some kind of trouble, won't she? Then JR cuts in with that dry drawl of his, asking what Digger Barnes was doing in his office, sleeping on his couch. Bobby fires back. Couldn't exactly park him with Sue Ellen's church ladies. JR just shrugs, says he doesn't see why not.
Well, wasn't that deliciously messy? Miss Kane walked you through the drama, and trust me, the secrets are just starting to spill. But don't think it's over, darling. There's always another scandal waiting in the shadows. This has been Drama After Dark. Until next time, we'll be watching. We you.